What is the South in hip hop? Is it a place, a sound, a culture, or is it something much bigger? For years, hip hop was seen as a battle between the East Coast and the West Coast, but while everyone was looking north and west, a movement was rising below the Mason-Dixon line. One that would eventually reshape rap forever, from Atlanta to Houston, Memphis, New Orleans. The South has something to say, and today we're talking about how it has become one of the most powerful forces in hip-hop history. You're watching Out of Pocket. Let's get started. What's up, Brother Franco?
What's going on? What's happening with you?
Nothing much.
Doing?
Hold on, my lip gloss is in my pocket.
Oh,
sorry, guys. All right, so hip-hop, is it, not hip-hop, but does it define the South? Does that make sense?
You know what?
Did my intro make sense?
It made sense.
Okay.
I think with the mass proliferation of the internet and social media, regions no longer matter. I'm from a time period where regions matter. Like, so so before I went to Georgia State, I went to Morris Brown College, which is a HBCU nestled in the AUC on the west side of Atlanta. And I learned the art of detecting different dialects from different cities, because everybody converged on the AUC for their matriculation, right? So I understood people from Baltimore. I could hear that accent. I could distinguish that between them and DC. People from Boston, Chicago, LA. Like, I learned different accents because prior to social media, you didn't know that until you met the person in person. You understand what I'm saying? So now with the internet, everybody got each other's slang, everybody dressing alike, everybody look the same.
Just big one melting pot.
It's a singularity.
Big melting pot, yeah.
Right. And I think the internet has done a lot, in good and bad ways, to dissolve identity, right? At one point, again, regional identity and regional sound was a thing, right? But again, when I was in Morris Brown, I would see folks from LA, with the flannel shirts on and the khakis. In the Chucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People from Baltimore, people from DC, Nike boots, things of that nature. Like, they came down here with their swag. Folks from Detroit with the Cartiers and the fresh polo, whatever the case may be. Like, you could tell, like, oh, you from Detroit. I can tell the way you dress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now it's like everybody's borrowing from each other. Same thing with hip hop. There's no difference. There's a dissolution of identity and lines.
So you're saying, I don't mean to cut you off, Brother Franco, but you're saying that you can have a artist on Instagram and you can listen to that song, but hypothetically you can't really pinpoint where they're from. They can be from Florida, but they sound like they, from the West Coast. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we had one period in time, where everybody sounded like they was from the South. I
think because it became a trend.
Right.
We dominated the hip-hop scene,
Right. So you had New York artists on down south trap beats. You know what I mean? But now what I am seeing, what I do appreciate it now, I think people started to realize, like, hold on, we started to sound like Atlanta. We got to get back to creating our own sound. And for a moment, folks was trying to sound like Chicago with drill music. Everybody had their own version of drill. You know what I mean? But now I think we're getting back to, okay, Detroit having their own sound.
Yeah.
We're getting back to the West Coast saying, all right, we got to get back to what we were doing. New York, now they got their own sound again. So I think we're getting back to regional sound. That's when I appreciated hip hop.
Yeah.
Like, even with production, right? I make beats as well. So, when certain snares and certain kicks or certain hi-hats, I understood, okay, that's that producer. He's from here. The way he's in the pocket on this beat, I could tell he's from here. You know what I mean?
Especially Houston.
Yeah.
They had a sound.
Yes.
That was just so distinctive.
Yeah, like Mike Dean, all them, out there, producing for like Scarface and all that, Corey Mo, even Pimp C, his production, you know what I mean? Manny Fresh is my influence when it comes to like production. I love Manny's work, with Cash Money. Like, he brought that New Orleans sound mainstream. Same thing with KLC with No Limit. I just like Manny Fresh sound a little bit more, but KLC, he was fire, beats by the pound. You know what I mean? Everybody had their own distinct sound.
Yeah.
It sound like a second line almost.
Yeah, and I like geographically. Okay, so hear me out. Geographically, you have Louisiana, Texas. You can almost hear that blurred line of how the music is meshing. Still distinctive.
Right.
But the influence you know, geographically. It's just amazing. You know, it's hip hop to us, but it is a culture. It is a demographic. It is a geological aspect, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the geographic aspect of hip hop allowed us to create our differences.
Right.
And the differences is what made hip hop flourish. Like, man, I want to hear some West Coast today. I'm gonna throw this on. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear Spice One. I want to hear MC Breeze, some Flint, Michigan. You know what I mean? I want to hear that. So you know, so for instance, my brother, very influential in terms of the hip hop I listened to. He had takes from everywhere. Eazy-E, West Coast, Kilo, down south, Tupac. You know what I mean? At the time, he was more so Oakland. This was like '93, strictly for my niggas. You know what I mean? So my brother had tapes from everywhere.
Yeah.
So I heard music from all regions. You know what I mean? And I appreciated that about hip hop because of the different flavors they brought about. You know what I mean? We don't have that right now. I think we're getting back to it, but I miss that.
You know, I never really thought about that. We don't. And, you know, it's kind of like back then I could create a theme song for myself, kind of identify like who I rep, you know, you know, not what set I rep, but you know what I'm saying,
your
what city,
where you
my
from,
city.
Yeah, your
I
area.
don't even think I could pick out a theme song, you know, kind of repping.
Yeah, even
You know what I'm saying?
like picking out the production, like
Yeah.
like I said, not just the rappers, but the production itself.
That's right.
Is all one single thing now. It's not like it used to be where everything was distinctive.
I think I kind of have a theory to that.
What's
And
that?
it kind of feeds off what you're saying, you know, so much has changed, but everybody has access to a lot of, not software, but a lot of things that you can use to produce music. So it's more accessible. So now I think we're just kind of all over the place, which is a good thing for creatives, but there's probably no structure.
Right. So yeah, to your theory, this is why I in a sense, I know it may get pushback from this, but I kind of miss the big label era. Like you know, we grew up in a time frame where labels control and they were gatekeepers in a sense. And I think to an extent that was necessary during that particular time. This is the time we had
to protect their own sound.
Right, to protect sound, to ensure quality control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not just putting stuff out there like you said. Now you can get an account with DistroKid or
Man, you get an app right now from the App Store and cut a track.
you know, cut a track and then upload it, and it's easily accessible, just like that. You know what I mean? There was a higher barrier of entry into music.
Yeah.
Now it's like anybody can come up with an album and throw it out there, and it may be good, it may be trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But back then, labels kind of controlled and gatekept who came in, and then how that artist would be rolled out. That build up the anticipation. Like we don't have that no more. Like I miss that. Like I miss the era of celebrity. I know I may be getting off track, but when we had real celebrities, where they understood like I don't need to be seen every day. You can't have access to me every day. You know what I mean? Even that aspect of music is kind of gone.
Yeah,
Like,
it's gone.
Just
Yeah.
follow you on Instagram. I can
miss
see you every day.
Going to the record store on Tuesdays.
On Tuesday, I'm buying the Cash
over.
Money release as soon as Tuesday hit.
Yeah.
I'm getting that. I'm driving down to Warehouse Music, Media Play, Turtles, Tower. I'm driving down there and I'm going to get my Cash Money on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Yep.
So again, I know we kind of got off track with that, but I think that was a necessary segue into where I was going because you said it's a South hip hop, or you know, do we define hip hop? I think at a particular point we had our time, but I believe now there's no dominant force anymore in hip hop. I think it's whoever is the trendiest right now. That's who runs hip hop.
And that can be anybody, a 14-year-old boy, you know what I'm saying? He could shut the whole industry down off of something that they done used off TikTok.
Yep.
You know, I want to know how people feel. Like some of our geniuses out there, like DJ Paul. You know, how do you feel about you done had blood, sweat, and tears out there, you know, damn near needing a doctorate in the whole production aspect, if that makes sense.
Well,
if they're going to give out honorary doctorates, they need to go to people like that. I'm talking about with some credibility around it, because these guys are geniuses. Timbaland, man, come on. You know, so I'm just saying, like, how do you feel about putting all that grind, and then you got somebody that could just come out of nowhere and make something on an app, and boom, they blow up?
Well, not to speak for Timbaland, but based off the content I've seen, he's for AI. He's actually lending.
Who is?
Timberland.
Oh yeah, I've heard he had an artist.
Yeah,
yeah.
right. So he's kind of lending his
I see.
expertise to AI. So his argument would be like, it's here, it's inevitable. Why not use it?
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to your point though, like, I've been in this game for years, and all of a sudden somebody can come in and push a button, and it's like, I got a hit record now.
That's where we are. That's
You
where
know
we
what I
are.
mean?
So get down and lay down, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had a question earlier about what's the South, right? And
Yeah.
if you can recall, Pimp C.
Yeah.
Pimp C had a controversial interview with 107.9 back in like 2007,
AKA
I believe.
Sweet
James Jones, Tony Snow. He said,
Y'all got the same birthday.
Yeah, we got the same birthday. He said that Atlanta was not the South based on some geographical reasons and cultural reasons, right? So he said, hey man, y'all on Eastern Standard Time. When I get off the plane, I gotta turn my watch. I gotta fix my watch. You know what I mean?
Hold on, let's go to that clip real quick.
Let's do it.
Why you? They think you dissing Atlanta, talking about Atlanta's not the South.
Okay, well, first of all, listen to this. I used to live in Atlanta from 96 till 2001. Okay?
All right.
That's the first thing. The second thing is this. When I get off the airplane in Atlanta, what time is it?
It's whatever time it is out here, homie.
It's Eastern Standard Time.
But it's still on the south side of the map.
Okay? But it's Eastern Standard Time, ain't it?
On the south side of the map, yeah.
Correct.
Answer my question. Is it Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah, it is on the south side of the map.
All right. Well, after saying that, listen to this. All my statements are my statements. That's how I feel.
And, he also talked about how Atlanta was not the same city he resided in the 90s. It had changed tremendously. And it goes back to
believe that.
Yeah, it goes back to another theory I heard that BT shaped Atlanta to be a particular city. It built that city to fit an image.
From a media aspect,
Yeah.
right? The music videos.
Right.
Well, that's everybody.
Yeah, but in terms
know,
of if there was an ideal city to use in terms of influence and to use as an example of Black Hollywood, BET will invest its money into the infrastructure of Atlanta. Atlanta would be the perfect playground for all of the things they wanted to accomplish.
What was that show used to come on BET? Uncut.
Oh, yeah.
So when you mention that, it makes me think about like how people kind of perceived Atlanta, from like some of the videos.
Wow.
Strip clubs, big deal. You know what I'm saying? And they kind of shaped the image.
Yeah,
and
you know what I'm saying? To your point, he was essentially saying like that this ain't the same Atlanta. It ain't the way it used to be. The people were homegrown. It was more organic. Wasn't that many transplants. Atlanta was just like a city of legitimacy. You know what I mean? Like this ain't the Atlanta I left. That ain't the South from what I'm seeing. This a whole different culture. Atlanta was the South for a minute, but culturally it's kind of it's drifting off. It's turning into more of an East Coast metropolitan city. That was the undertone of his argument.
Well, that kind of proves that geographically, determining what the South is based upon culture and music.
Right.
That kind of backs that up to a sense. It sounds ridiculous.
It does. When you listen, like, man, what you talking about ain't the South, but it's Atlanta, Georgia. What you mean? But when you think about what he's saying, the undertones, and you kind of just take the bias away, it's like he does have a point. Like Atlanta ain't what it used to be, and culturally is kind of deviated from what it once stood for.
That's right.
And that was his argument. Like he was down here with Outkast, Goody Mob, all of the organic movement of Atlanta was taking place. When he came back, he was like, boy, this ain't the same Atlanta, but it's different. Y'all ain't what y'all used to be. This ain't the city you think you in.
We got to do a segment on trap music. We're going to
For
do
sure.
that. We're going to do that. I got some words to share about that. So we'll do that on the next episode.
Because I got different sub-genres of trap.
Really?
That I think we need to start using.
We'll do that next. Don't get into it. Don't get into it. Yeah.
I ain't gonna do it.
So y'all just stick with us, all right? Like, tell us in the comments, what do you think? Does this make sense? What is the South? Is Georgia the South? Is Florida the South? What are your ideas? Does music determine, where we are geographically? Or does it just sound like nonsense? So you let us know. We are Out of Pocket. I'm Nicole.
Franco.
Till next time. Okay. What else? We do need to talk about that now. You want to do one more episode? You feel like we're good? One more episode?
It does. When you
know,
listen,
but-
like, man, what you talking about? It ain't the South. What is it? Atlanta, Georgia? What you mean? But when you think about what he's saying, the undertones, and you kind of just take the bias away, it's like he does have a point. Like, Atlanta ain't what it used to be, and culturally is kind of deviated from what it once stood for.
That's
And
right.
that was his argument. Like, you know, he was down here with Outkast, Goody Mob, you know, all of the organic movement of Atlanta was taking place. When he came back, he was like, boy, this ain't the same Atlanta, but it's different. Y'all ain't what y'all used to be. This ain't the city you think you in.
We got to do a segment on trap music. We're going to
For
do
sure.
that. We're going to do that. I got some
yeah.
words to share about that. So we'll do
like
that
that.
on the next episode.
Because I got different subgenres of trap.
Really?
That I think we need to start using.
We'll do that next. Don't
Let's
get
do it.
into it. Don't
I ain't
get
gonna
into
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna do it.
So y'all just stick with us, all right? Like, tell us in the comments, what do you think? Does this make sense? You know, what is the South? Is Georgia the South? Is Florida the South? You know, what are your ideas? Does music determine, you know, where we are geographically? Or does it just sound like nonsense to you? Let us know. We are Out of Pocket. I'm Nicole.
Franco.
Till next time.